Good afternoon and welcome back to this staff meeting for the Calais County Board of Commissioners. This afternoon, we will continue with our look at the public services departments. And starting off today will be a report from facilities maintenance. Will, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. Used to saying good morning, but I guess it's afternoon now.
Yeah. Yep.
So mine, I have an update on the chiller temp contract. So this is simply informative. What had happened as part of the chiller replacement at the Hall of Justice. In order to provide cooling for the building, we had to get a temporary chiller in there. I'm going to have a change order next week on the agenda for an additional 2 months of rental. It took longer and we needed to have the temp chiller for 2 extra months. And that price is right shy of 25,000. That change order will reflect that.
So do we have the wrong agenda up there? Mine has a reference to rental chiller, but that one looks like might be the last week.
That looked like
Yeah, I think that might have been last week's.
Yeah.
So the original contract was, it was on an emergency declaration was 168,000. If the change order is approved, it'll go up to 181, 869 and 10 cents.
Okay.
And that's all I have for an update. Do you have any further questions?
That whatever we needed to get done has been done, so we're
Yep.
knock on wood.
Yep. So
Yeah.
we'll move the change order, then close out that part of the contract, and the chiller has been replaced. We haven't tested it yet because it's still winter time, but
Yeah,
the majority of that contract is finished.
okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So we'll hear an update on building and planning.
Hello again, Commissioners. Tracy Jackson, Director of Building and Planning. Next Tuesday, in front of the board on your agenda will be an RFQ for the planning services, not tomorrow, but next week. I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. For planning services with emphasis with the geotechnical services and peer review. The board gave me permission last week to get it up and going. I'm
And
excited.
are we looking at 2 or 3 different firms or just one? I can't remember the detail on that. Because sometimes we
Preferably
have more
one
than
that we
one.
can just use on an on-call basis, but more for the geotechnical peer review, but to have the planning services on hand in case we have a large project. And so I don't want to stop development or anything of that sort. So to have that in our back pocket and utilize as needed is important to me. So that will be on next Tuesday.
And typically those kinds of consulting services are paid for by the applicant
Correct.
rather than from the
Correct. And
taxpayer.
with that, we will probably be adjusting our fees. So because we do not have a geotechnical fee at that time or at this time, so we will be adjusting probably just that particular item, but we'll see.
All right.
So those top 2 are actually kind of combined. The Acela maintenance agreement, you guys gave me permission last week to enter into with TruePoint. We added a little bit extra money and we are piggybacking or joint partnering with Environmental Health Unit. They do not have a software company either for their wish list that they need. The BPAC, Building and Planning Advisory Council, was all about us working with them and jointly finding a company. We have one. They've actually been working with us today. So that will be, we have extended the olive branch and they're working with us, but the
It'll
contract.
be a jointly financed arrangement.
Yes, and they'll pay for their, what they utilize of TruePoint will pay for our end, but I wanted the board to know we did raise it a little bit. I think it's $38,000, but it's for both of us to use, hopefully for now until the end of the year. And then we'll get a yearly maintenance contract with them. But they've been outstanding to work with. So I am very encouraged with this company. And the other thing I have is the hearing examiner. We did a 3-month extension. We went out for RFQ. We got 2 responses, one from our current hearing examiner and one from a current attorney. And so after looking and scoring the RFQs, our department is recommending going forward with our current contract with Mark Skrymeyer and extending it it'd be a 2-year contract and then to have the renewals in place as well. So I think in a local attorney, there might be a conflict of interest because they're on several different land approaches. So we would have to have a backup anyways. So if we continue with the hearing examiner we have now, there shouldn't be a conflict of interest. And we have several applications that we several weeks ago needed to get hearings scheduled for, and we've not been able to schedule them because he had put in for his RFQ. So he was holding off scheduling anything. And we're kind of in desperate need of getting those hearings going.
So the one concern that I need some assurance on is that we've taken up the problems that were reported when he was dealing with the Lexington applications. And the perception was that the public was not being listened to. And the last time we talked about the issue, there was something in the works about expanding the size of signage, as well as reiterating the importance of listening to the public. So I just need assurance that you're taking care of those issues so we don't get into the same.
I'm hearing what you're saying. Since those that was brought up, I was not the director at the time.
Mhm.
I will work with the hearing examiner and let him know of your concerns, my concerns going forward. Currently, they are doing advertising for what the RRCW requires. But Greta and her planning staff have been working with, I believe this is the 4th planning commission meeting, even this next in 2 weeks will be the 4th, that they're working with our planning commission on the notifications, the signage. They have changed the signage and what is being put out there. And I know they are going farther than what they currently have to do. So they have done some extraordinary things to try to get more neighbors, but I'm hearing what you're saying. So we can try to fix some of these things, but we are following RCW, but we have expanded some of the things that we are required to do to help notify those neighbors of those the problems that I think could be addressed in going forward.
So I'm not sure if you followed along and all that, but one of the things that I've always been concerned is this is the size of the notification that is required by RCW, and that's just inadequate.
And now we have some, if you go down to our planning department, they're about this big and they're on neon yellow paper.
Okay.
And so they're using stuff like that for the notifications. So they are trying some different tactics to make the public aware of what is out there or what the subject will be.
Super.
Do we have in our contract service standards that we expect them to abide by?
Our hearing examiner.
Yeah, any contract really.
There are standards in there, and it is something that I can work with our legal department on. It's kind of a standard contract form that we all use, but I can see if we can look at something like that.
And if we still see things that cause us concern, are we locked in for 2 years or do we?
No, we have a termination clause. I believe it's 30 days. And then we can go out to another hearing examiner if the board so chooses.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
All right.
That contract we'll put on consent then as well.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Super. It's all yours, I think.
I almost said good morning, like Will. So good afternoon, Susan Eugenis, Public Works. So I have 4 items on the agenda tomorrow, and I wanted to give you some brief information today. The first one is all acronyms, so it's PUD ILA, which is the interlocal agreement with PUD. Most times when we're doing a project, their facilities are within the right of way, so they are required to move them. For our Ostrander triple box project, they have some facilities in an easement that we need to pull into the right of way. So in order for them to move the material out of the way, we have to pay for the cost of moving them. So this first interlocal agreement is the cost of the PUD relocating their utilities out of their easement, which is now going to be right of way and become part of the bridge footprint out of that area. So it's not to exceed of $25,000. Whatever it costs is what we will reimburse them for moving. So it's just unusual for us to be bringing one of these forward. It does happen, but it's not often.
Right.
So then we have a Coweeman River mitigation bank purchase for mitigation credits for a culvert out on Coweeman River Road that we will be replacing this summer. It is a very small, like 0.009, and it's like a $3,000. Let me see, a $2,385 purchase. So it's a very small purchase, but then we don't have to do any plantings and monitoring in the long run.
So this is the mitigation bank that the city of Kelso operates?
Yes, that's the Coweeman one just right down here. So most of our projects are in that area, which makes it nice for us. Then the remaining two items we have on motion are
I-
also for the
I do have questions on this because I need to understand it. You have to explain it to me a little bit. So if we do a project and it involves some wetlands, we can pay some money to somebody and they say it's mitigated?
So Coweeman River Mitigation, Wetland Mitigation Bank, they have created wetlands along the Coweeman River. And they've created, I don't know how many acres of wetlands they've created, and it's in a perpetual easement that they will operate and maintain. And so they're selling acres of what they've planted to people who are disturbing wetlands so that we don't have to go out and replant wetlands on our project site. So what we had been doing before this came online is when culverts and road widenings are where we get into this. If we disturb wetlands, then we have to create new wetlands and do mitigation plantings. Then we have to monitor them for 5 to 15 years, depending on what class wetland they were before we disturb them. And so it's not just the buying the extra property, it's planting, it's maintaining them. And we have a mitigation site up on Canal Road. So that's up by Silver Lake where the wild horses are. And we've had issues at that location where the horses have come through and eaten all of our plants, and we've had to go out and replant them. So this gets us away from having to go out and replant plants because now somebody else is responsible for maintaining them. We've fulfilled our commitment because we've made the mitigation purchase and it will be maintained.
So the Coweeman, if we disturb some wetlands there, we can buy wetlands in Silver Lake or someplace else?
So when they
I-
established the Coweeman Bank, what they establish is an area that is considered to be in the same drainage basin. And so if you're working in that same drainage basin, you can buy credits at the Coweeman Bank. So if I'm working on the Cowlitz River, anywhere from the mouth up to Castle Rock, approximately, it is considered within that basin. So I can purchase in the bank instead of having to recreate a new wetland out on, let's say, Delamita Road, Hazeldale Road.
So I remember we had a wetland mitigation near the improvement at Hazeldale that caused some extra problems. We
Yes,
got into moving slopes and it was,
It-
my memory is it was a big hassle for you.
it was a big hassle. And in the end, we went out and punt it, to put it nicely, and ended up buying into the mitigation bank because we were already in half the cost of what the mitigation credits cost. And we knew to get it to the standards we needed to meet just to plant it was going to be more than what the credits were going to be.
So in that particular instance, that did not count for the Coweeman Bank because wrong side of the river or did it?
It did, but when we initially did the project, the Coweeman Bank wasn't online.
Ah, okay.
So that's why we were originally doing the mitigation planting, because it was not available yet.
So there has to be some sort of connection. So I think your example of doing something up at Silver Lake, that would be way outside the
That would be way outside. And
bank.
when they establish these banks, ecology establishes what their drainage area is. So they draw on a map that if in this bank, you can be from this point to this point out this wide on the river.
Okay. So we couldn't mitigate here by planting something in Spokane.
Correct. We can use the Coweeman for part of the county, and then there's one down.
So,
And they just opened one Woodland or Ridgefield, I believe, that we can
In
use. for-
Richfield, I think,
Yeah.
yes.
so the amount they charge you on this thing is what they consider it would cost them to do this in another part of this ecosystem,
Yes. And because it's
plus a fee or something. Somebody's got to be making some money somewhere.
I'm sure there's an administrative fee included in this, but they plant in bulk. So that their amount includes maintenance, and ecology considers it a higher class wetland than often what we create, because we create small pockets that are maybe the sizes of this room or smaller, depending on what
Oh.
we disturb. So now they have one big continuous wetland.
I see it goes to this habitat bank up out of Kirkland. I have to
Yes.
look them up and see how much they make. Okay, that helps me a little bit.
All right.
Okay,
You had one other item.
Yes, so as part of the Ostrander property, we should put this in the other order. We have 2 strip purchases of right away coming on that are on the consent agenda. One for 2,185 feet, and the other one is larger. Where is it in my pile? Why are they out of order? I apparently left that one on my desk for the area, but it's for 2 parcels. As part of the triple box, we have to reconnect McGeary. And so we're purchasing property along Ostrander and McGeary as strip parcels. So this is just getting those along. After this, we have
Now,
one more.
McGarry is past the development. We have the sewer line or the sewer system,
I believe this is before Woodbrook.
Woodbrook, yeah.
Yeah, I've got my vicinity map. Yeah, this is prior to Woodbrook.
Okay.
And McGreary is just adjacent to the bridge. So when we're making the adjustments, we have to reconnect it back in. So we have one more parcel from a private property owner that should be next week, the following week at the latest. And then we're in negotiations with the railroad to, we have to make some minor adjustments at our tie-in
It's the
point.
main line.
This is Patriot, Cowlitz and Columbia, whoever owns it right now. Not the
Browser.
main line.
Where, oh,
The
depends on which side
warehouses.
of Ostrander.
Yeah.
Okay.
It crosses Ostrander right beyond this bridge.
Good luck on finding them out.
I did not, the staff spoke with our right-of-way acquisition gentleman, and he spoke to them on Friday, and it's in their attorney's hands. So we're hoping to get something back. Because we really would like to get this project out on the street before the end of the month to meet the fish window.
All right. Any other questions?
no?
Super. All right. Are we done?
Unless you have something for me.
I don't think so.
Well, I had to have a reason for coming. So good afternoon. Commissioner Savannah Clement with Public Works. So I just had an update that Will did not mention. We just did an offer for a new facilities maintenance technician,
Or what?
a facilities maintenance technician. So this will be filling Dylan Wallace, excuse me, his position. He promoted to a project coordinator. So we're backfilling his spot. So we hope to have that person start in the next few weeks. So we'll actually, once the background check and everything clears, we'll be releasing that person's name, but just give you a heads up. And then we're doing a lot of onboarding at Public Works. We have several positions that have been vacant over the last 6 months that we're starting to see getting filled. So among those are road crew positions. We have 2 solid waste operator positions, and we also have a water sewer position that we are currently in the process of filling. So we see some new faces, names.
So you're usurping Jessica's explanation of all these moves and changes, getting a head start.
Trying to. I am finding that our recruiting has been better in the last few months than it has in the past 2 years. So that's a good sign for us, getting really qualified applicants in place. So yeah, any questions on that? And one more item. Okay. The other item and last item that I have is you'll be seeing the CRAB reports coming soon in the next couple of weeks as well. So that's County Road Administration Board. And just a reminder, they kind of guide a lot of our requirements for reporting for roads. So you will see that come upon your desk here in the next couple of weeks for submission.
Will Susan get any brownie points at all for having updated the civil rights movement?
Oh, I sure hope so. No, no, probably not.
Because you had to do it anyway, right? Oh, okay, okay. All right.
That's all I have.
Anything else? We have a couple.
Commissioner Weber,
Yes.
did you want to talk about how people can get in and out of the admin building for the Wednesday night meeting?
No, but you can go ahead and explain it.
That would be Victoria.
Okay, Victoria, there you are. Victoria, thank you. Thanks for the reminder. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi. So the administrative building does lock at 6 p.m. The meeting scheduled Wednesday this week does start at 5:30 p.m. So everyone will be able to get into the building, but just a heads up, after 6 p.m. the building will be locked to enter and for re-entry as well.
So what happens on Wednesdays when the planning commission meets?
They set the building to lock at a later time. But on those, for those meetings, we do have a security officer who is able to clear the building before that auto lock is set for those meetings. So we do not have one for these new Wednesday meetings. So no one would be able to clear the building and ensure that it's empty before it locks. So we can set the locking at a later time. If you would like, you just have to request that from facilities. But there would be no one here to monitor all the entrances and clear the building.
Ooh. Hard to tell. I don't know what kind of attendance we're gonna
Yeah.
get, you know.
Or those
Maybe we
rules?
just monitor it this first time or two, and if we, looks like we're gonna do it, then work something out with security.
Well, we can monitor it and see. Be up to us, I guess, to
Yeah,
walk through, check the bathrooms,
as we leave. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. I think that's typically what they do after the last person leaves the meeting. They do the sweep for. But the door will still be locked at, you said 6:15?
6 o'clock, the
At
building
6.
locks. The security officer is here until 6:15, but the building does lock at 6 o'clock.
So then all we really need to be responsible for is the people in here and make sure they got out.
Mhm. Okay, we'll monitor it. For now.
Yeah.
I was actually going to point Arn to do the monitoring, but I guess that won't work. All right. Is there anything else for the good of the order? All right. No other questions? I guess the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.